Actually, was about to pick up a girl on a date in Queens, and I had about 20 minutes to spare. And I walked into a Svarim store, and I bumped into my 12th grade Rabbi. And he said to me, you know, you have a stain on your tie. And I looked down, and I had a big stain on my tie. So I took it off. And he said, you're going to go on a date without a tie? I said, I guess so. So he said, no, it's pasnished. So I said to him, So give me your tie. So he said to me, no. He goes, it looks very much like a rabbi. So I said, so people will think I'm a rabbi. It'll be a rabbi tie. So he says, Yitzhak, nobody will ever mistaken you for a rabbi. But the reason why I'm reminded of that story is because when I was 21, it was the summer after I had come to my first Nefesh conference. I think that was roughly the time that I met Rabbi Weinberger, and I had this question about what I'd be doing with my life, and part of that had to do with either going into chinuch or rabbanus or becoming a therapist. And unlike much of the chinuch that I had at the time, Rabbi Weinberger had suggested that I go into this field instead of chinuch, which clearly was the right thing for me. So I'll formally introduce my Rabbi, Moshe Weinberger, the Rav of Kehilas Eish Kodesh, and the Koil Emek Halacha. For pictures. Sorry. Really, what's unique, I think, about the world of Rabbi Weinberger is, and how it's applicable to us at Nefesh, is there aren't many people today that are teaching and revolutionizing the world of the Nefesh, of the inner world, not just the inner world, but the world of meaning in Torah. And certainly Rabbi Weinberger has been at the head of a revolution when it comes to the world of not just modern Orthodoxy, but the world today. And it's a tremendous chus to have him here address us with a few Divrei chizuk.
I think the greatest hashpah that I had on Yitzi was that I freed him from wearing neckties altogether, Baruch Hashem. That's it. So I tell you, it's such a tremendous schus for me to be here. It's been a long time since I've spoken for this chaver. In the meantime, there's so much more of a need, and it's grown. And I have Talmidim here. Some of you might have a son-in-law, Dr. Tepfer, Binyamin is here. And I'm very, very much invested in many ways with what you're doing. And I looked at the schedule. I can't believe how much has been taking place here, if it really was true, what was on there. So many things. People talking for 3 hours at a time. Jews listening for 3 hours. I don't know if there were any snacks or food or something in the middle. No, we just read about two remarkable women, the Mialdois Ha'ivrios, the midwives who brought Jewish children into the world. And it says in the pasuk, "V'tichayena hamialdois eselokim," that the Mialdois had Yiras Shamayim. Well, they also kasher Omer lahem Melech Mitzrayim, and they didn't obey. They didn't do what they were told by Melech Mitzrayim, by the king of Mitzrayim, V'tichayena es hayeladim, and they gave life to the boys, to the children. Melech Mitzrayim, the king of Egypt, Melech Mitzrayim, means the king of anxiety, the king of depression, the king of addictions. Melech Mitzrayim means the king of constriction, of smallness, of depression. But Melech Mitzrayim. Who the Mialdais? Shifra. So Rashi says Shifra is Mishaperes es Havlad. The one who would care for the child, Mishaperes, to bring out the beauty of that child, of the baby that was going to die. And Pua, Paya U'Medaberes V'Haigel Vlad, the one who spent every moment of her life speaking to the child, encouraging the child. For me to come here and speak to the Mialdais Ha'Ivriyos, the Mialdim Ha'Ivriyim of our generation is the greatest honor for me. I have no greater compliment that I could pay to you. And I'm saying it with all the sincerity that I can muster up within me, that I really look at you, each and every one of you, as being a Mialedis, as being a Mialed. There's so many children and adults who Melech Mitzrayim, the king of Egypt, is destroying. The king of constriction, of misery and smallness. The king of Meitzarim. And there are so many children and adults, but here it's not limited only to males, it's females as well, who are overwhelmed and are being destroyed by Melech Mitzrayim. To be a Mialedis and Tavshin Ayin Tes, to be a Shifra that brings out the beauty in another human being, to be a Pua that knows how to say words that encourage, that give chizik, that give hope, is the greatest bracha in the world, that we have people like you. There are a couple of thousand things I would like to talk to you about, but I'm not going to give a long 3-hour thing, it's just a little thing. I'm going to admit something. I'm not a therapist. I'm a Rav, a Rabbi of Talmidim, and I'm oftentimes way over my head. I really believed that when I agreed to go into the Rabbanis, which I wasn't l'chachila looking for Rabbanis, I was a Rabbi in the classroom. I was teaching Gemara. That's what I enjoyed doing. But there were different Rebbeim and Tzaddikim who were encouraging me. And when it came time for me to enter into the Rabbanis, we started the shul, the only shul that I've ever been in as a Rav, Eish Kodesh. I imagined that nobody would ever die. There would never be any levayas, you know. Simchas, I was hoping for. But the tzaras that I've been dealing with over the years, not only from my chaver in shul, which every Jewish home, not only the chaver from shul, but from all over, I never ever expected that. I thought I was going to say some shiurim and going to daven together and fabreng and have a good time. But there's so many levayas. I'm just coming from one, straight from a levaya. But it's not just the levayas of those who are 120. You understand what I'm saying? There are so many living dead in our generation. And who are the mialdais? who are the midwives of our generation? Of course, there are the parents and friends and Rebbeim, those who get it. There aren't so many who really, really get it. So sometimes my wife is not here. She wanted to come, but she's babysitting. Sometimes I feel, I don't know if any of you have this feeling, because I'm doing this already almost 40 years. The bonus a little bit less. But there are times that I admit to my wife, I don't say this to anybody else except to her, and now to you, that I feel like I just don't have the koiches to continue. Not because of the shiurim. The shiurim, that's fun. I much enjoy the shiurim is fun. The teaching, the learning, that's gewaldig. It's not the shiurim. I can't go on hearing so much suffering, so much sorrows. Zahav is here. We've spoken about this many times. I'm not comparing myself to what Zahav is doing and to what you're all doing. But it's hard. The tzaros is unbearable. And last night we came home. I was in yeshiva for Shabbos, and I was glad in a happy mood. We lit candles. I sat down to Mlava Malkin and got a phone call that somebody passed away. Invited tzaros, and I said to my wife, she knows it's like this funny thing that every now and then, like every 3 or 4 years, I'll ask her, do you think there's something else that I could do for a living? She says, you don't really have any other talents. I said that, so I always say, it's already a whole spiel, there's a spiel. So I say that, I love Svar, maybe I could be a librarian. So she says that, everything's with computers now. There's not such a big inyan with librarians anymore. And you don't know how to use a computer. Baruch Hashem, I never touched a keyboard in my life. And I don't know how to use a computer. So then I say, but maybe I'll call my friends by Beagle-Eyes and they'll give me in the Svarm store. Maybe I could be a Marchas Svarm. I like Svarm, I know Svarm. And then we just laugh a little bit. And she says a kind word and gives me some chizik, and here I am, talking again. You heard of Reb Shaila Kerestir? Years ago, a lot of people didn't hear about him. There's certain tzaddikim that their time comes. My father told me that in Hungary, every house had a picture of Reb Shaila. But he wasn't as well known in our times as now, Baruch Hashem. Reb Shaila Kerestir there's something about him that appeals to all of us, and I'm sure to all of you in particular. But Reb Shaila was a big Balmaifis. We don't really have Torahs, very few that are said over from him, some Torahs. But the Chsadim from Reb Shaila, we only know a tiny, tiny little drop of this endless, infinite kindness, like the one who created him. So Reb Shaila had an inyan. He had an inyan to give out bilkelach, to give out challah rolls. He used to walk around before Shabbos and on Shabbos, and all the poor people came there. This is when he was still a shamas or a gabbai. I don't know if he was a gabbai by a Hershel Lisker, by the Ach Bitvur, by the Tzaddik, the Lisker Rebbe. And Reb Shaila, nobody knew who this Reb Shaila was. They thought he was a simple person. And he was going around always giving out challah rolls, bilkelach. That was his inyan. And one time, the Lisker Rebbe was about to wash his hands for Shalosh Yidus, and he couldn't take his eyes off of Reb Shaila. And the Rebbe's Gabra was standing next to him with the water, and he saw that the Rebbe was distracted, and he said, Rebbe, what is it? So the Lisker Rebbe said that I'm watching Shaila. So the Gabbai said to the Rebbe, what is it with Shaila? So he says, I'm watching how Shaila is giving out bilkelach, giving out challah rolls. So the Rabbi said, Rabbi, Shai is always giving out bilkelach. That's really what he does most of the time. Giving out chalaros to people. But the Rabbi said, I know, but I watched him, and I'm telling you that a half hour ago that bag was completely empty. I saw there was only one roll left in it, and he's still giving out bilkelach. So, Chevra, what's the magic bag of Reb Shai Laker steer? Did it ever happen to you that am I the only one that feels that way? That you just don't have more to give? Like that you've given of yourself and you try and you reach deep inside of yourself and you can't find another bilkila. You can't find more to give. Sometimes you can't find the right words that this person needs. Shai Laker steer's bag of bilkelach. So how does one find that his chadshas? That when you feel that you're empty yourself, and people are coming to you, and you're professionals and you're being paid? Not always. And people are coming to you. And with all of the years and all of the training, there are things that we're hearing in our generation. There are conversations that I'm having with people. And I feel that the bag is empty. So let's learn a little bit together. It would have been good if I photostated things and did it very, very, professionally, but I didn't. So try to listen. We're going to learn a little bit together. There's a very, very remarkable legend. It's brought down in a number of places. The place that I saw it was the Radak brings it in Yeshaya, Perek Mem, Pasuk Lamed Aleph. He brings there B'Shem Reb Sadia Goin, no less than Reb Sadia Goin. The Radak brings a Kabbalah. Now this Kabbalah is circulating among the nations of the world as well. What's this Kabbalah from Reb Sadia? Hanesha Yala le'esa shonim gavoyim oid al pnei rikia shamayim. There's a certain eagle. By the nations it's called a phoenix. There's a certain type of an eagle. The Yala le'esa shonim gavoyim oid, that every 10 years it soars to the highest place in the sky. Yikarav l'chaim ha'esh, and it draws close to the fire, to the heat of the sun. V'yapel atzmai liyam, and it throws itself into the ocean. Me'roiv chayma, because of the heat. V'yamoret, and all of the feathers fall off. V'yischadesh acharkein. So this eagle, this phoenix, this magical bird, throws itself into the ocean. It's burnt out. That's what Reb Sadia Gaon is saying. It's burnt. Throws itself into the ocean. The feathers, the old feathers, fall off. V'yischadesh achakein. And the bird has his chadshas. V'yala eva v'yoshuv l'imei alumav. And then it grows new wings. V'yoshuv l'imei alumav, and it returns to the days of its youth. V'chein kol ezer shonim ad meya. And this bird, this phoenix, this farm is called Chol, Chesvav Lamed. It's an interesting name. This type of a nesher, of an eagle. Every 10 years it does this, it goes through this, until it's 100. And only at 100, it finally doesn't throw itself into the ocean, but falls into the ocean and dies. This Kabbalah, we're not talking about mythology, it's from Reb Sadia Gaon. Is connected to the pasuk over there. No yisein la yoev koyach. There's a midah of Hashem that He gives those who are weary strength. No yisein la yoev koyach. Ule'ein oinim otzma yarbi. And for those who no longer have strength, He increases their energy. V'koivei Hashem yachlifu koyach. And those who have hope in Hashem, yachlifu koyach. They're able to renew their strength, their energy. Yalu eiver k'nesharim. To grow new wings like eagles. That's where it comes from. Yalu eiver k'nesharim. Yarutzu lo yigoyu. To run, to fly, to soar, and not to be tired anymore. To be able to start again. David HaMelech in Kuf Gimel, Kapitel Kuf Gimel, David HaMelech says the words, Tischadesh, Kanesha Ne'uraychi. I hope this adds more meaning. I'm sure you knew this already, but if it adds more meaning to those words, Tischadesh Kanesha Ne'uraychi. Rabbi Shalom, help me to renew myself, to grow new wings. When I was young, I was flying. I was mamish flying. I felt I could save the whole world. And over the years, I'm grown old, and a lot of the feathers have fallen off. Tischadesh Kanesha Ne'uraychi. That I should be able to feel a renewal. Kanesha, like that eagle. The phoenix, Kanesha Ne'uraychi, to return to that time when I was young. From say that bakosha, that crying of Yehuda ve'ech elo alovi v'hanar enenu, how shall I return to my father without, when I'm 120, without the child that I once was, the young person that I once was. So David HaMelech is davening, Tischadesh Kanesha Ne'uraychi. Rashi says there, Min nesher kishemaskin choyzer l'narusai. Rashi explains there in Tillim that this Chadish Kanesha Ne'uraychi is referring to this legendary bird. Min nesher kishemaskin choyzer l'narusai. So what's the side? What's the secret of this hischadshus? What does that mean that it throws itself into the ocean? Mapilus atzma layam. What does it mean that it throws itself into the oceans? It sheds its wing, it swings its feathers. So the Svar HaKadoshim, the Kuzhan Tzemagid, the Schusi Aleinu, and other tzaddikim talk about this. Everybody knows that the inyan of Ra in this world, the embodiment of Ra is Amalek. And the inyan of Amalek, Befrat, is Va'ata Oyef V'yageya, when a Jew becomes tired. When a Jew simply loses his strength and becomes tired, that's when he's vulnerable to the attack of Amalek. Where does that feeling of Oyef V'yageya come from? So the Kuzhan Samagid and other tzaddikim explain that when a person is absorbed in himself, and he thinks that his ability to heal others and to teach others and to give life to others is coming from within himself, it originates within himself, and he falls into that delusion of Kaichi v'aitzim yadi, Koichi v'oitzim yadi. I have this degree, I have that degree, I have these years of experience. Look at all the things on my wall that are hanging there. Could be you have also people that are hanging on your wall, the ones that you destroyed along the way too, with all your degrees. Chalila. Koichi v'oitzim yadi. That's the sickness that saps us of our energy, because a human being is so limited. And as good as you are, you run out of gas. You just run out of gas. Therefore, the tzaddikim explain, Yachlifu koyach, to renew one's strength, there's only one way. Koyve Hashem yachlifu koyach. Throwing oneself into the ocean, into the yam, means, as the Chabad Sfarim, of course, explained by Arichas, especially in the Chabad Sfarim, and all the Sfarim regulations, bittul hayesh, meaning it's not me. It's not me. When a person enters into the ocean that is infinite, that ocean of the Bari Olam, of the Creator, and he fills his life with tefillas, with tchinas, with humility, that by doing that, the person is able to return to the ocean. And the ocean, of course, is the Bari Olam, is the Creator, is Makor Mayim, Chaim, is the source of life and water and all existence. And once he enters into that place of humility, he's able to have his chadshis of Atam Achayis Kulam. Because even though you're miyaldois and miyaldim, and you are giving life to others, if you forget for a moment who gives life to you. And if Chalila, you fall into that mistake of Koichi v'oitzim yadi, so then you can't find any yischachas. That's Aleph. But I want to talk about something, Beis, that in that world of the ocean of Elokus is something which is a tremendous nisayon nowadays. Again, I'm speaking from my own experience, even though I'm not qualified and I'm not a professional like any of you, but from my own experience of what I feel helps me. And nowadays, it's very, very hard. The Shloah HaKodesh, the Reishis Chochmah, Rabbi brings down, many Sfarim bring down, it's brought down in Poskim, that 120, when a person leaves this world and goes to the next world, he's asked, Malachim, whatever, ask him. I'm sure there are familiar questions, it's brought down in Shabbos, but they bring that there's a question that's asked by the Malachim. What's that question, Rabbi say? What's your name? The Malachim ask at 120, when we leave this world, we get to the next world, the Malach is there, and it sounds like from the Svarim that the first question, before the other questions that are brought down in Chazal, that the first question is, what's your name? And the Shloah HaKodesh brings down, HaTzadikim Zoichrim, the Tzadikim remember their names, V'Rishoyim Shoichachim, but the Rishoyim forget their names. And Zeh She'ein Yodei Ma Lahoshiv, and any one of us, any person who cannot remember his name, who can't answer the question, what's your name? Boim Malachei Chavala, there are frightening, destructive angels that take him away. He's taken someplace that's called the world of nothingness, of confusion. And he doesn't know where he is. And the Shloah HaKodesh, the Kitzur Shloah is clear, and the Shloah HaKodesh says that it's a skula that at the end of Shemoneh Esrei, before you go back 3 steps, it's a school to say the pasuk that has, or psukim, if you have more than one name, the pasuk that begins with the oasis and ends with the oasis of your name, right? At the end of Shemoneh Esrei, to say the pasuk, it's a school that when you're facing that malach in the Olam Haemes, and that question is asked, that we'll be able to answer the question and to say one's name. Ve'ela shmois b'nei Yisrael haboy Mitzrayim. And these are the names of the Jewish people going into Mitzrayim. And if the Sefer is called Sefer Shmois and begins with the names of the Shvatim, it means, as we know from the Ramban and other tzaddikim, that the name of the Sefer is saying in one word, a tamsis, the toichen of the entire Sefer. Now this Sefer that we just began, Shmois, which the Ramban refers to, of course, as the Sefer of Geula, of redemption, is called Sefer Shmois, the book of names. I don't know, in English it's called Exodus, but in Lashon HaKodesh it's called Shmois. Now, it's odd. How does this encapsulate the entire Golus and Geula, the exile and redemption, which is the subject of the Sefer? Number one. And number two, that when you open Sefer Shmois, as we did this past week, there are no names. After the names of the Shvatim, once we're already in Golus, because the Shvatim are from before, but once we're already in Golus, we became nameless. The pasuk doesn't give any names. The psukim just say paru vayishutzu vayirbu vayatzmu b'ma'od ma'od, like almost like insects or like rodents. Paru vayirbu vayishutzu vayirbu vayatzmu ma'od doesn't say any names. The Jewish women who are giving birth, chayes heina. Rashi says mashulus k'chayes asada, having so many children. The Navi Revavik Etzemach Hasada, multiplying like the grass of the field. But no names. There are no names. And even the Miyaldais, when it says Shem Ha'acha Shifra V'Shem Ha'Shenius Pua, where we're talking about professional names, or aliases, that's not their real names, of course. It's Al Shem the Malacha that they were doing. But there are no names. And Moshe Rabbeinu comes into the world, it says in Pasuk, Vayelach ish mi beis Levi, v'yikach es bas Levi. No names. Amram, Yocheved, no names. Until finally, Moshe receives his name. And even the word Moshe, the Oisius is Hashem, the name. Moshe is Hashem, the name. Because an Eved, a slave, is nameless. Some of you are parents or grandparents like mine who were in concentration camps, and there were not names, there were numbers, there were no names. A slave doesn't have a name. It doesn't have an identity. The Jewish people at the beginning of Sefer Shmois are described just as multitudes, multiplying. V'yirbu, v'yishutzu, v'yatzmu. Revavik etzemach hasada, the Navi says. Because that's the deepest Golus, not to have a name. That's what Golus is. And therefore the Redeemer, Moshe Rabbeinu, is the first one who's identified in such a way. That it came through Bas Paro is a different discussion. The Maral and the Gevus Hashem and other tzaddikim talk about this. But the beginning, the first hisnoitzus, sparkling of the Geula, is when the Jew finally has a name. Moshe, Hashem, B'namayim Eshisu. So what does that mean? That Gullus is namelessness. And what does all of this have to do with this chadshus that I want to talk to you about? The Svasemis is in Vayishlach, in other places but in Vayishlach. And Rabbi Mendel of Vitebsk in Vayigash. The Morinaim in Vayakel, many tzaddikim talk about this. And tzaddikim before the Talmid Shem, Chaim Vital, and so on. And you all know that the name is the essence of the person. The name is the essence. There's no time to go into this now, but the name is the essence of the person. And the essence of the person, the name means that it contains within it, that's why it's so urgent that everybody uses their Jewish names. And the name of the person contains within it the tafkid, the shlichus. Why were you sent into the world? It used to be like the Gemara writes in the Mishlei that a Jew would go to a Navi and the Navi would look at your name and would say who you were and what you were in an earlier Gilgal and what you have to accomplish, all from looking at your name. But the tzaddikim don't know how to read a kvittel. If I had time, I would tell you a ma'aseh that happened with my own mishpacha by the Satmar Rebbe Schusi Aleinu. That I gave him a kvittel with the wrong name from a relative, and he fell asleep. That's how he looked at the kvittel, and he went to Rabbi Eilish, and he closed his eyes. He went to sleep, and he opened his eyes. He washed his hands, and he said, "Nein, this guy is nicht Sarah. Her name is not Sarah. Her name is Chaya Rivka, and that was her name. And that was the only child that that couple was able to have from that bracha. They know how to read. They were Jews. They know how to read. Tzaddikim didn't know how to read a kvittel. And when we looked at the name was the essence. It contains the essence of the person, the sherish of the neshama. When a person is connected to his tafkid, her tafkid, what I'm doing in this world, why I was sent to this world, what I can accomplish in this world, at that point he gets a name, so to speak. He leaves Golus. Shlomo Melech in Shir Hashirim describes the bitterness of a person. Samuni naiteres akrame but karmi sheli lo natarti. I'm watching the vineyards, but I've never planted my own. Karmi sheli lo natarti. I'm 20 years old, I'm 30 years old, I'm 40 years old. I don't know what's the tachlis of my life. I don't understand why I was sent here. So the Baruch Shalom created man by himself. So listen carefully, I'm going to have to accelerate now. I think I'm supposed to be finished like in 10 minutes or so, I don't know. What's the official Zaman? Soon. Huh? Oh, say that. Odom Nivri Yechidi. That means that the base, essential, original creation of man is by himself. Only afterwards, as a kenegdo, family, friends, and community, and so on. And the Sfarim say that because of this, there are two basic koiches hanefesh. The two basic koiches hanefesh. The first koyach hanefesh is called the koyach of chibur. And chibur means association, attachment. It means that by nature, as many other philosophers outside of Kedusha said, that man by nature is a social being and craves company, family, friends, and so on. And by nature, a human being has this koach. A healthy person has this natural need and desire and pleasure to be mischaber, to connect to other people. That's the koach hachibur. The koach of yachad, of being together. But there's a koach that is higher than that, and it's deeper than that. Because the first koach of man, which lies at the very, very core of his being, more so than the social need, more so than that koach hachibur shebenefesh, is the koach of levado, of oneself, of understanding oneself, of being alone. And the whole tachlis of a person's life in this world, to be megala, to reveal within himself that soul of who he is, his name, his essence, not his professional name, not how he's known by others in a crowd and how people look at him or her, but levado. This is one of the most remarkable Maimorei Chazal, and this deserves a very big arichas. But it says in Pasuk by Yaakov Avinu on that night, Vayavosa Yaakov levado vayavik ishimai, that Yaakov was left by himself. Vayavik ishimai adolis hashachar, and he had this wrestling match with the Sarah with the Koach of Amalek until the dawn, until the morning. So Chazal say, Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu kosuv boi v'nizgav Hashem levadai, just as it says about the Rebbeinu Shloim, v'nizgav Hashem levadai, such a word levado, that Hashem is by himself. Af Yaakov, it says, v'yevosa Yaakov levadai. Af Yaakov Avinu has this midah, this koach hanefesh that's called levado, levadai, by himself. Now the Rebbeinu Shalom is surrounded by Malachim, by Srafim, by the Chayes HaKadosh. The Rebbeinu Shalom is not lebendige Welt. And the Rebbeinu Shalom has many, many, many social connections. And Kivyochel, we don't know who he is, but he's a social being, whatever that is. Because it's described to us, we say in davening every day. The Revovis and Alfei Revovis, and Hashem's Baruch is the Neshamas of the Tzaddikim. He's mechubar. The Rebbeinu Shalom, I think they call it like networking, as a word like to. The Rebbeinu Shalom's got a lot of wires connected. But Oimek, every one of us believes that Ba'omek, in the deepest reality of things, the Metzias, of course, is Ein Oid Milvadai. Ein Oid Milvadai. There is no one, only him. He's ultimately himself. So the Tzaddikim, Rabbi Yerucham talks about this in Bereishis over there by the Pasuk, and he has a little bit of a different Al Derech HaMusar. But the Tzaddikim explain that Chazal are telling us that just as HaKadosh Baruch Hu has this midah of chibur, of connection, of being surrounded, of being with everyone, but then he is God, he is the Rebbeinu Shalom, and he retreats into that mystery of Ein Od Milvadai. So too, Yaakov means, even though Yaakov became very busy in his life, Yaakov looks and what happened to him, he looks at his life and it got very, very busy, his life. But Yaakov had the koyach to turn away from everything else, the koyach hachibur, which is very holy and very precious. Family, friends, everything. He had the ability to turn away from that. Koyvi Hashem yachlifu koyach, on his own to soar, on his own to throw himself into the Yam, the ocean. Because the Yam, the Oisius Yud Mem, The same Oisi says the word me. If you learn the introduction to the Zohar Kodesh, you'll see in Arichas what that means. That question, me. Not that you ask of somebody else, who are you? But the question that you ask of yourself, who am I? That me, which is the Koyach of Bina, which is the ocean, which is Yam. You know, when Hashem Yisbarach gave the Torah, it's written, Chazal say that he gave us the Torah in such a way. When Hashem gave the Torah, there wasn't a bird that was chirping. No, the birds were fluttering their wings. Ox wasn't making a sound. Even the angels stopped flying. The Seraphim in Shemayim were stopped saying Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh. The ocean, the waves of the ocean stopped. All human beings stopped their conversations in the middle of the conversation. They stopped. The world was silent. The Yotza HaKol, and the voice came out from Hashem, Anochi Hashem Elokech. The greatest challenge of our times. And because of this challenge, the stakes are so much higher when it comes to your patients, your students. The Metzias that we're living in is a Metzias of Vayavek Ish Imai. There's much to say about this, and I'm not telling you any chidush. I just want to put it into the framework of Torah and the framework of our lives as people who are trying to talk to others. There was a Rabbi that I know who's a Rabbi in Yeshiva in Yerushalayim for many years, where Americans go to spend a year or two. And this Rabbi told me that it used to be when a boy came to Yeshiva from America, he said, we had the boy for the year. There was eye contact, there was contact of the neshama, of the mind. He said, but now you're talking to a young man and he's not really there. He's sitting in the seat, he has his Gemara open. He looks like he's there. Vayavose Yaakov levadoi, vayavek ish imai, ad alesa shachar. And that's why in that wrestling match, the whole conversation between the mysterious force of Amalek, of the angel, and Yaakov was, Ma shemecha. The angel asks Yaakov, what's your name? Because the whole inyan of Esav, of Amalek, of the world before Mashiach comes, is to cause a person to forget his name. To forget the etzem of who he is, of who she is. And to lose connection to that feeling of certainty, of confidence, and the tachlis of my life. That while helping others discover their names, to lose your own name in the process. To lose yourself in the process. Karmi sheli lo natarti. The whole koyach of the Sitra Achra is lo yikari oid shimcha Yaakov, that your name will no longer be Yaakov. Now you know the Gemara explains that even though he was given the name Yisrael, he comes back as the Torah does to the name Yaakov. Especially when he was going down to Mitzrayim. Yaakov, Tzrayimol. Avram are not allowed to call Avram Avinu, but can't go back to Avram. It's Avraham. But Ahadrei Kro, the Torah goes back and calls Yisrael Yaakov again. Therefore, we call him by both names. Because there are two parts to a Jew. Yisrael is the social part. Yisrael is the Koach HaChibur. Yisrael is a lashon of srora, of strength, of being out in the world, of being amongst others. But then there's the child that we were talking about before. Then there's the essence of who you are. That's called Yaakov. And the Malach says, Lo yikar yoid shimcha Yaakov kim Yisrael. Because all Esav wants a Jew to forget is who he is, be'emes. To lose himself, God forbid, in arrogance and haughtiness. to lose himself in confusion, to lose himself on his iPhone, spending day and night. And I'm not going to give you an anti-technology tirade. I stopped doing that already years ago because I realized the schoonishness is health. And there's no tachlis to that. And it's here, and we got to figure out how to somehow navigate through all of this. The chatting, the connecting, the need to share things that are supposed to be personal, that come from the world of Yaakov, and you post it in the world of Yisrael, where there's no levado anymore. There's no levado. See, the Sitra Achra doesn't have a name. It's nameless, the other side. Vayishal Yaakov vayomer Hagida Nashmecha. So Yaakov turns things around and says to the Malach, what's your name? Don't ask me my name. What's your name? Because the other side doesn't have a name. Because all the other side is namelessness. That emptiness that comes with forgetting why God sent you. And that's really the chizuk my wife always gives me. She says, Maish, you don't know how to do anything else. She's not insulting me. She says, the Baruch Shalom gave you something to talk to Jews and to try to say some Torah, and that's why he created you. And that's your name, Chayim Moshe. And that's why I was created. To try, while trying to pull myself and give myself life, with Hashem's help, and to pull myself out of the ocean, out of the water, to try to pull others with me, to pull out together with me. So, Chevra, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. That's the side of his chadshus. The new moon, Shehem Asinim es Chadash Kamaisa. Because the Meshech Chochmah says in Parshas Bereishis, I'm going to come down to end now. Remei Simcha says in Parshas Bereishis, Ha'inyin sheyesh shtei drochim b'avodas Hashem yisborach. Remei Simcha says there are two ways in avodas Hashem. The Kedushas Levi talks about this also at the beginning. He talks about it in Parshas Noach. There are two ways. One way, Misha meyached atzmo lavados yisborach mizboidei. There is a Jew a tzaddik, who separates himself from the world. He lives a life of levado, of his boidedus, of by himself. And there's another type of a Jew, Rabbi Simcha says, Misha oisik b'tzarchei tzibur mevatel atzmo b'shvil haklal, u'mafki nafshay ba'arum. There's another Jew who lives for others, and he's mafki himself for the tzibur, for the klal. And what Rabbi Simcha is saying there, and I wanted to read for you from Rav Kook, there's no time, but the tzaddikim is saying that the tachlis is not completely this way or completely that way. Not to be a Jew that lives entirely levado, and not to be Jew Yaakov, and not to be a Jew that lives entirely as Yisrael with others, but to be a person who's able to give yourself over to others, to be mafki yourself for the tzibur, for what Jews need, but then suddenly to turn away, not in the middle of the time, but to be able to turn away and to schadish kanesha nu'uraychi, and to soar like an eagle, alei lamala alei. Yesh lecha kanfi ruach, kanfi neshama abirim, to become an eagle mamish, like a phoenix, and to shed the old feathers and wings, and to throw yourself into the ocean of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, into the ocean of what it means, me, who are you? And to be able to answer that question honestly. This is who I am. My name is Yaakov. Or whatever your name is and what your tachlis is in this world. And unless a person does that, Rav Kook and Rabbi Simcha are explaining that unless a person knows how to do that, then your life as professionals will be in the Eretz Oicheles Yeshveh. You will be consumed and destroyed by it. Some of you already could be zombies. You look like you're real, but some of you might be zombies. I don't know. You might not be alive anymore. You look like you're alive. But there's an Olam HaTohu. There's a world of Tohu that doesn't mean you have to die to get to it. You could be in the Olam HaTohu while you're alive. So I'm going to end with this. It just takes a minute. I couldn't decide when I was leaving my car which is more embarrassing, to walk around with a gourmet glad pig, or that people should see me carrying a children's book. So I took the sefer, because that looks good. I took a sefer with me. And I also took this little book, and I put it into a gourmet glad pig. I don't know why I had a cheshek to just share this with you. I was with my granddaughter the other day. She wanted me to read to her. And I went to the place in the house where my wife keeps all of the children's books from when the kids were little. And there's a book that I find, I haven't seen it since our kids were little. And I was so excited that I found it sticking out on the shelf. And I said, oh, this is what I'm going to read. It was written in 1964. It's called The Giving Tree. You know it? Okay. It's very famous, yeah? So my granddaughter doesn't know why her Zaidi was crying while he was reading it. But I was crying when I was reading it. Because I often feel like that tree. The little boy, since you know the story, I don't have to tell it to you. It takes 5 minutes to read. I'm not going to read it, just maybe a little bit from the end. But you know about the little boy that loved the tree, and the tree loved the little boy, and the little boy would play, and the tree gave apples and then the kid grew older and wasn't coming back so often, but he came once. It was hanging out there a little bit with his girlfriend and carved under the tree the initials of him and his girlfriend. And the tree was so happy to give shade to him and his girlfriend. And then it became his wife. And later on he got older and he needed wood to be able to build a tree. And the tree said, here, boy, take my wood right here. I'll give you the wood. It used to be the apples, now it was the wood. And then he was already an older man. And he came, after many years, he left the tree alone. The tree was so sad. The tree was orphan alone. And now he comes back much older, and he says that, but the boy stayed away for a long time. When he came back, the tree was so happy, she could hardly speak. Come, boy, she whispered. Come and play. I am too old and sad to play, said the boy. I want a boat that will take me far away from here. Now he's an old man. So he comes back to his old friend, the tree. His Rabbi, his teacher, his therapist, his parents, whatever you want to make the nimshal. Comes back. Can you give me a boat? So the tree makes the ultimate sacrifice. Cut down my trunk. He already gave away all the fruit and all the branches and cut down my trunk and make a boat, said the tree. Then you can sail away and be happy. And so the boy cut down her trunk and made a boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. After a long time, now he comes back. He's already going to leave the world. The boy is now on the verge of death. And after a long time, the boy came back again. I am sorry, boy, said the tree, but I have nothing left to give you. I have Shaila Kerastir's bag, right? I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone. So the old man says, it's okay, my teeth are too weak for apples, said the boy. My branches are gone, said the tree. You can't swing on them. I'm too old to swing on branches, said the boy. My trunk is gone, said the tree. You cannot climb. I'm too tired to climb, said the boy. I am sorry, sighed the tree. I wish that I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I'm just an old stump. I am sorry. I don't need very much now, said the boy. Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I'm very tired. Well, said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could. Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down. Sit down and rest. And the boy did, and the tree was happy. As long as the Master of the universe gives you and me 1 ounce of strength left, 1 molecule of strength to help a Jew, to give life to so many who are dying, as long as there's 1 molecule, we'll be happy. I want to give you a bracha. There's much more to talk about. To give you a bracha that you should feel that. You should know that. You should be able to be with the people, but then find yourself and to soar like eagles and come back new and refreshed the next day. To help give others the wings to fly. So the time will come that all of us, that all of us are going to fly back to Yerushalayim, strong, upright and healthy and happy, with the Gula Shav Amitis, Mehem Yamin Amen V'Amen.